When someone would ask me, what is it that you do, or what's your occupation, and I respond to them with, I'm doing my PhD, it's often met with some confusion.
Real doctor or PhD?
And it's generally not known what a PhD entails. Most people know what doctors of medicine are, or MDs, the ones that take care of our health, that diagnose and treat our diseases. They're usually pretty easy to spot in a clinic or hospital with a white coat on, a stethoscope around their neck, with their names and the abbreviations MD next to them. But when someone has the abbreviations PhD next to their name, what does that exactly mean, and what do they look like? A PhD stands for Doctor of Philosophy. It's a different type of doctor, and you've probably met one or seen one before. For example, Einstein and Oppenheimer, who were recently featured in Christopher Nolan's film, they wield PhDs. Your university professor, wearing an oversized business suit and travels between classes with a backpack on, likely has a PhD. But then this guy has a PhD, and I'm not a professor, nor am I a scientist that helped design the atomic bomb. So how the heck do I have the same abbreviations as all of these incredible scientists? If you do a quick Google search, you'll find definitions for Doctor of Philosophy to simply be someone who holds a doctorate. And a doctorate is defined as the highest degree awarded in academia. These definitions are quite lacking in their description. They don't really describe what a PhD is or what it takes to earn a PhD. And so in this video, I hope to illuminate you on what exactly a Doctor of Philosophy is. So first, let's break down the term Doctor of Philosophy and figure out where it originated. The word doctor is derived from the Latin word doco, which means to teach. Those who held doctorates were called doctors, and they were expected to teach because they were experts in their respective fields. If we think about doctors of medicine, they teach their patients about their diagnoses or how to better take care of themselves, because these doctors of medicine are experienced and trained and knowledgeable in the field of medicine. There are doctors of law, doctors of arts, and doctors of theology, and so many more fields that have doctors because they each have experts that are knowledgeable and experienced in these fields and are capable of teaching them. So then, what about doctors of philosophy? Do they teach philosophy? Where's the science in this? And once we really dig into this term philosophy, we'll actually find that it's quite appropriate for what PhDs do. We understand philosophy to be a pursuit of understanding truths about ourselves and the world around us. Great wise philosophers like Socrates, Aristotle, Confucius, Plato, they were known for their world-changing wisdom on science, morality, psychology, logic, and humanity as a whole. Now, the term philosophy originates from two Greek words, philo, which means to love, and sophia, which means wisdom. So put together, philosophy means to love wisdom. And wisdom means to use one's knowledge and experience to make good judgments. And that's essentially what the great philosophers did. They loved to observe natural phenomena and human behavior and arrive at wise conclusions. And this is what PhDs love to do as well. But they base their wise conclusions off knowledge and experience that they gain through research. PhDs think about the questions that haven't been asked just yet, and they creatively and critically set up these elaborate experiments and methodologies to go looking for answers. And they'll write entire books about their discoveries and their new philosophies in what's called a thesis or dissertation. Great PhDs like Marie Curie, whose thesis is titled Radioactive Substances, discovered radioactivity through her elaborate setup of what's called the quartz electrometer apparatus. Sadly, she succumbed to the radioactivity that she discovered, but the philosophies that she put forward set the foundation for the radiation research of today. Einstein also had a PhD thesis, and it was titled A New Determination of Molecular Dimensions. And he theorized a way to measure molecular dimensions by observing particles in a fluid. While his PhD thesis was one of the lesser known of his philosophies that were popularized, his other philosophies have been extremely prolific. We've all heard of E equals MC squared, and he provides a whole publication explanation for how he arrived at that equation. And I've also written a thesis, and it's titled Denenzyme Walkers for the Detection of Enzyme Activity. It's not publicly available yet because of the unfinished work that I've written about in it, and it's definitely not as prolific as Curie's or Einstein's work at all. It's more like a drop in the ocean of research that's out there. But hey, I was able to discuss a novel philosophy and I showed my work to prove it. And it's these theses and original research that really distinguishes PhDs from the other professional doctors, who more so combine advanced studies with practical application. Alright, let's do a little bit of a recap. That was quite a lot that we went through. So a doctor of philosophy literally translates to a teacher of the love of wisdom. Doctors are qualified to teach because they are experts in their field. And what PhDs are experts in is coming to new truths and conclusions and discoveries through research. Okay, so we've discussed what a PhD is and what PhDs do, but how did a PhD even come to exist? So professional doctorates were first conceived in medieval Europe around the 12th century for law, medicine, and theology. The doctorate of philosophy was created in Germany as a terminal teacher's credential in the 17th century. At this point, it just describes someone who is very advanced in their studies. There is no original research component to it yet. In the Renaissance and Enlightenment periods, professors were masters of their craft, masters of arts, masters of science, because they mastered the existing knowledge of this field, and they did research as a side hobby. It was in 1810 that a Prussian diplomat named Wilhelm von Humboldt, who was a linguistic researcher. Humboldt founded the first university to merge teaching and research. Humboldt wanted to further Enlightenment principles such as logic, reasoning, empiricism, and freedom of thought for the people. Humboldt essentially pioneered academic freedom. He established this institution so that students could question and investigate anything that they wanted without the fear of repercussions or political oversight. Humboldt believed that the university should enable students to become autonomous individuals and world citizens, to develop their own powers of reasoning in an environment of academic freedom. Europe was coming out of aristocratic ruling and giving that power back to the people, and these educational reforms were a part of that Enlightenment process. These PhD reforms attracted a lot of international attention. A lot of Americans, after finishing their bachelor's, would actually pursue PhDs in Germany. And not long after that, the PhD then expanded worldwide. It was brought back to America and other European countries to represent this advanced academic degree in which a thesis or dissertation was proposed and successfully defended. Yale University in 1861 started to offer PhDs as well. The University of Oxford in 1917 then established their PhD called the D.Phil, and now a lot of universities around the world offer a PhD. That started with the Humboldt University in Germany. And so how is a PhD relevant now? Maybe PhD research doesn't look like the past because the field has become more saturated, competitive, and therefore that leads to standardizations and overpublication. But I think it's just so easy to get bogged down and complain about all these issues, when there is a message of hope here that I do want to leave you off with. Institutions do have a commitment to making this world a better place. We have PhDs looking into climate change, into public health, into cancer therapies, and new ways that we can detect cancer earlier. We have PhDs taking a blast to the past through archaeological findings, trying to excavate some wisdoms from our ancestors. We have PhDs in astrophysics, investigating black holes, our expanding universe, and trying to make sense of our little existence here on Earth. We have PhDs in literature and arts who continue to explore how to make our world a more beautiful and meaningful place. We also have PhDs in theology, deciphering religious texts to try to get a sense of what our purpose here is. Wherever you look, we have PhDs trying to discover and invent and engineer and improve everything about whatever it is you're looking at. Like right now I'm looking at this camera, which has all these lenses and sensors that require so much research and innovation that PhDs are involved in, and that continues to evolve. And so while the pressure is on for PhDs, it's still really cool what PhDs are doing today. We are so blessed to know so much about our world and to have all these incredible inventions that help our day-to-day, from our health to the engineering, our cars to the heating, electricity. All these things have been accomplished by the work of PhDs. And so now you know a little bit more about what a PhD is and what it entails. And next time you see a friend or someone who has a PhD, instead of wondering about what it is that they exactly do, I would suggest asking them the question, oh, what's your research on? And that could spark some really interesting conversations for yourself. What's funny is that these things that I discuss in this video would have been so helpful for me to know from the beginning, but you kind of have to dig through the internet archives to figure all this out. But it would have been just nice to know what exactly I was getting myself into. So if you're a PhD student, I hope this was illuminating for you as well. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you want more content, be sure to check out my channel. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to hit that notification bell as well, you'll know when I post my videos next. And before I go, I want to leave you with this message, which I think is so fitting for this video. Stay curious and let that curiosity lead you into paths unknown, into places you've never been before. Let your curiosity lead you to new people, new societies and communities, and new information, maybe new discoveries that you get to share with the world. We're so blessed to live in a society where we can think freely, and so please go on doing so. But that's it for me. See you in the next video.